You also weren't involved in the weekend, but I mean, how was the kind of review today? It must not have been an easy one.
Yeah, it was tough. I think the boys fronted up and they put their hands up in a few areas. It's probably just probably speed to the breakdown and maybe not getting our set piece under control. But looked like the effort was there at times, and as Stafford probably said after the game, I think we were just 1% or 2% off here and there in a few small areas.
From your point of view, did you want to play? What was the kind of process behind you obviously missing out? You didn't play against Tonga, did you?
No, I didn't play against Tonga, no. Franco's got quite good. He sort of tries to manage the squad as best he can, and sort of spoke to us in the Tonga week and said who was going to be involved and who wasn't. And I think we've been happy to come in and play as well. Coming back to Glasgow is always a really exciting time after these campaigns. So I think the boys who were off are refreshed, and the guys who came back in hopefully get a little bit of a break later on.
Is the best thing for it the fact you can rectify that performance, straight away with a massive game coming up in the Champions Cup?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's things we can obviously take from the game, and it's a great learning, and it's great to have that sort of at this end of the season, before all the big games come around and quarterfinals and stuff. So there's things that we can change and learnings to take, but I think there's nothing better than going on an away game in a Champions Cup, especially down to somewhere like Sale. So we're all very excited for that.
Maybe last year in the competition you had this kind of billing from maybe media and stuff as perhaps underdogs, and you've done quite well, obviously making history going as far as you've ever been. I mean, what's the kind of feeling in the building about what you can do this season?
Yeah, it's probably the same sort of vein. Just talking about we've had great results in Europe in years gone by, but it's probably about stacking that in the pool stages and being able to go from game to game. We're close out there in Toulon last year, and getting to go and play in these stadiums that you probably don't usually get to have a run out at is incredibly special. So we're all looking forward to this Champions Cup week. It's massive for the club.
It's the sort of thing where you have to have those experiences of getting that week and a step forward when you're going up against particularly these massive French and English clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like obviously, Toulouse coming here, I don't think we've ever had Toulouse at Scotland, so that's going to be awesome. And we know Sale quite well. I haven't played them last year in the last couple of years, so playing teams again. We had 2 or 3 years where we had salaries every other campaign. So I mean, playing these sort of teams that are at the top level in their respective leagues, it's what every club player wants.
The confidence there that you can stand up against these guys and go and beat them on that day. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the squad's really well gelled at the minute. I know a few boys coming back that maybe didn't look that way over the weekend, but the squad's in a really good place. We've got a lot of young players coming through and who are putting their hand up. Obviously, Kerr Johnson the weekend getting his first start, I thought some of his work rate stuff was outstanding. So to see these guys sort of come through and put their hands up, the squad's in a really good place. So we're very excited for that.
Looking to kind of avoid a TikTok trend, but you can play at 6 and 7. You played there quite recently across both positions. I mean, what do you prefer?
What do I prefer, 6 or 7?
Yeah.
I suppose they're both very different sort of roles. I think 7, you're probably first to every breakdown. You maybe hitting more rocks and then on the defensive side a bit more as well. Whereas 6, you get that ability to roam a bit. You're in the set piece, you're in the line out. So look, I'm happy to play wherever I'm needed. I really enjoy playing 6 here. With the blended back row we've got, and obviously the great vein of form that everyone's in as well. So I'm happy to play where I'm needed.
Must be really nice to see your brother come back. Obviously a really difficult 7 months. He's obviously been through trials and tribulations through that period, missing the lines. I mean, how happy were you to see him back in the pitch?
Yeah, massively. I think he's had a very tough 6 or 7 months. He's been through a lot of ups and downs. He had a great time away with his family, but it was also pretty tough for him being so close out there to Australia. And, I think when the first test came around, it hit him quite hard. That he wasn't there. So I think he's worked really hard. He's in great shape, and seeing him come back against Tonga, I think everyone was excited. He had a bit more of a smile on his face now that he's back training and playing. So really, really happy for him.
Also, you're kind of key part of that squad in the summer in the Autumn Nations. I mean, it's also those 2 games against New Zealand where you went quite close to making history, and then obviously the kind of collapse against Argentina, which obviously brought about a lot of criticism. I mean, what was it like being in the squad, and how did you kind of view how it went over that period?
Yeah, it was tough, obviously. I think the New Zealand game, when that came around, it was one of those that we probably had games that we say we could have won in the past. I felt that was one that we probably should have won. We sort of let that game slip towards the end, and giving them a 17-0 lead at the start is obviously not ideal. And then the Argentina week, that definitely wasn't acceptable. we were pretty devastated coming on the Monday. You know, the way the fans left the stadium that day, and you know the way that Argentina came back into it is something that you know we have to address. We can't just keep hiding behind it. And yeah, there's a lot of honest conversations on the Monday. And, you know, hopefully the boys can come back to their club, take those learnings, get that mental stability back, and you know bring some good form back into the Six Nations. And then the quicker we can gel, that's probably the best way forward for it.
When you talk about games you could or should have won, that sounds a pretty similar script whether you're talking about Scotland or Glasgow, needing that extra 1 or 2% to make the significant leap forward.
Yeah, I think that, you know, obviously there's games in the past, and I'm trying to think to ones like in the South Africa game we played a couple of years ago. You know, there's opportunities in that. They scored 2 really easy tries. You know, we had a lot of opportunities that again we didn't pull the trigger on. So those are your sort of could have games. I think the New Zealand one, especially Argentina as well. You know, those are games that we should have won and let slip. So yeah, I mean it's probably a lot easier to address the ones that we were in such a good place for about maybe 40, 50 odd minutes, and then yeah, a couple of changes in momentum and stuff that we just couldn't handle. So as I said, like we had a lot of honest conversations, and yeah, we addressed the key things from that, and yeah, hopefully we can take that into Six Nations.
This time of year there's always some chat about the 3 leagues coming together in Europe, and sometimes there's maybe the odd disparaging comment from elsewhere about the URC. How do you think the URC stacks up these days to the Prem and the top 14?
Yeah, look, I think you have a plethora of nations in the URC. You've got the South African teams coming in and brought a completely different sort of edge. You know, it's that physical edge, it's the hard running edge that I think we maybe lacked before they came in. You know, you didn't face that all the time until you played. You know, either the hardy English teams or those big heavy French teams. So you know, we get that a lot more regular now. I think the URC is so competitive. You know, on anyone's day. You know, if you're playing well, if you're playing at home, whatever it may be. You can win, so it's a really competitive league, and yeah, I mean it's great to play these teams from the Premiership and from France, but you know, I think every league's going really well in their own right. So I think it's probably quite hard to compare them in that regard.
If you were forced to choose a team not your own to win the Champions Cup, or 2 or 3 or 4 if you prefer, which would you choose?
To win it. Yeah, I think to lose would probably be up there close around. Obviously, you know, Leinster have got a bit of a chip on their shoulder when it comes to the Champions Cup, and yeah, and obviously Bordeaux winning it last year. So yeah, I mean the big names that are probably in it every year. You know, those are the ones you want to take on. I think having to lose here, that's a huge opportunity for us. So yeah.
And if it wasn't going to be a big name, what would be the difference again? Whether it's Warriors or some other club, a team that's not won it, to make that difference, make that step up, what does it need?
Probably confidence and belief. Like you've hit Northampton last year, like in the sense that you came through, they played Munster, you know, had close games against other teams, and then had all that confidence and belief to go with the Aviva and play Leinster. You know, a team that the bookies probably had Leinster pretty high on that. So yeah, I think having the belief, you know, speaking to a few of the guys down there, they've got a real confidence about their team, and you know, I think we've got that here too. You know, we love the brand of rugby we're playing. We're in really good momentum, and you know, everyone's really well gelled and on the same hymn sheet. So yeah, I think confidence is probably your biggest thing in Champions Cup.